Hi family, how you doing? Here's one for the Holiday and Holy Day series. It's called St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so I think from, let's just say, from Europe all the way down through Canada and the United States, that I'm pretty sure we all know what St. Patrick's Day is. Well, this unholy holiday originated in Ireland. And where did it come from specifically? It came from the Catholic Church, one of the most deleterious and wicked things to ever, let's just say, grace, not grace us with its presence, but yeah, destroy us with its presence. Anyhow, the church, it was the church that gave us this holiday called St. Patrick's Day. And where does that come from? It's in the Old Testament, in the Bible, it talks about how the church sent St. Patrick to drive the serpents out of Ireland. Now, let me tell you something, family. There's no snakes in Ireland. Yeah, snakes are cold-blooded individuals, and they like warmer places. They can't survive in cold environments. And ever since the earth has been sitting on her axis like this, it's been too cold. So that would include the time frame that covers, the last, say, 3,000 years on Caesar's calendar of fake linear time. Now, when the earth was upright like this and the entire world was a tropical to subtropical climate, then yeah, perhaps there might have been some snakes in Ireland. But it wasn't in St. Patrick's Day. So it's not snakes that he drove out. It is the wisdom of the earth, and more particularly the class of the people they referred to, that ended up referring to as Picts and Druids. But we're talking magi, priest class, shaman, elders, honorable council members of the tribes of the learned people, and the ones who had a deep connection to nature and could even perform magic tricks. So what kind of magic tricks? Let's see. Are you familiar with the Moses character in the Bible and how he put his rod down and split the Red Sea so that the so-called whoever was supposed to be fleeing from Egypt, all that story was a complete lie. But it's true. It's true that we can that it's possible to I don't want to say control, but to interfere with if we are doing it let's say, for instance, it's like a rule of using magic. Like, you can't use it for your own personal gain. It has to be like, there's rules that come along with it. So, let's say we were looking for water. Let's say, I'm a Picton Druid, right? Going back into the days, a couple thousand years ago, right before, the church arrived to start destroying all the indigenous people. We would, say, be looking for water. So we would take our staff, right? We didn't touch the ground with it, but rather we held it while we walked barefoot through the forest, receiving the energy of our Mother Earth up through the portal of our soul, of our feet, and traveling all the way up and heading out into this portal, and then which is wrapped around this staff. And if, let's say we were looking for water, right, we would just go until we got the signal that we had found the water, and then we would just tap on the ground in a certain fashion, saying certain words, certain intentions, and then poof, the water would just come springing up out of the ground. There's other stories, not just in the Bible, but throughout history, about this kind of technology. These were the people that the church drove out. These were the serpents that St. Patrick drove out of Ireland. Hence, is it any wonder you see the people going to celebrate, just like the Irish people began to celebrate this unholy holiday, hundreds of years ago. I don't know how long. I didn't look that up, but you could probably find that out. that the number one theme around St. Patrick's Day is the consumption of alcohol. Why? Because there's, on an epigenetic level, on a frequency life code level, the memory of your ancestors resides in you. You might not be able to pinpoint it and come up with the details, but the emotional effects are still there. And so, what do we do when we are suffering immensely at the wholesale slaughter of not just the people, but the forests that they walked through, the places of their connection of power were also burnt down, cut down, dug the roots up out of the ground to make sure that, they couldn't pray at their altars of their trees anymore. These serpents, as the church refers to them. These people who had the wisdom of the earth. Yeah, they presented a competition. How do you say? Not competition, but rather opposition, if that's the right word. Like to the agenda of the church was complete domination and control of the thoughts and the beliefs and the perceptions and what is holy and what is the word of God and who is God and what to believe and how to perceive the world and how to act in this world. You filthy sinner, get on your knees, and this other guy sacrificed his life for you because blah, 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 all this shit, right? So in order to pitch this, they had to take out the wise elders, the indigenous people, the Picts and the Druids, the serpents. So you see, they're in the pub drowning out these sorrows with alcohol, and that's their holiday called St. Patrick's Day. Just wanted to put that out there. That's what St. Patrick bullshit comes from. That's like, all the holidays are bullshit. Let me be real clear about that. If you haven't already checked out the full series, please do. And I've only covered some of the holidays in the United States and Europe and Canada alone. I haven't even examined the other parts of the world yet, but anyhow, I hope you found that informative about what St. Patrick's Day is and where it comes from, and why it's associated with so much pain and suffering that people must get inebriated in order to deal with it. It's very similar to, but more on a subconscious level, but very similar to the Native Americans in the United States, for instance, and also in Canada, when they have their so-called Thanksgiving Day. Now, that's a day issued by the government, a big lie about how, the colonialists were benevolent and the Indians loved them and they all sat down at a table. No. Well, that's not what happened. And so this Thanksgiving, this unholy, wicked day called Thanksgiving, is actually a day of mourning, and rightfully so, for the First Nations people, whose ancestors and ways and traditions and cultures and customs and language and everything was completely destroyed. So yeah, in the same way, that Thanksgiving works for the First Nations people, that's what St. Patrick's Day is for on an epigenetic, subconscious level. That's what St. Patrick's Day is for the people of Ireland. And then from there it just spills out and it goes, well, wherever there's Irish people, which is pretty much every corner of the globe, because Irish people were some of the first slaves on this planet. So you can find them in every country. They were the slave labor before the slave trade of Africa, and the Middle East was the slave trade of within Europe. Because what are you going to do when you drive out all those serpents, if not put them on a boat and send them to the United States to build the railroads, and send them to Canada to build bridges and dams and canals. So, yeah, but I just hope that explains what St. Patrick's Day is and where that comes from and why the fuck Does every one of our holidays have to revolve around consuming copious amounts of sugar? And where does it all come from? Why, am I even recognizing this day? And if I do recognize this day, how should I recognize it? Should I wear green clothes and go to the pub and drink beer all night with my friends? Or should I stop and think about the serpents, the wise people, and the consciousness of our ancestors that's within almost every one of us has some form of, at least up north, from Ireland all the way down to Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, throughout the Commonwealth is for sure. There's a lot of Irish people out there, or people that identify with the holiday of St. Patrick's Day. And so, whether you're Irish or not, if you are observing this holiday, I want you to understand and be aware of what it is that you're acknowledging and giving your attention to, so that we're careful where we, focus our attention and whose rituals that we participate in, because our beliefs coupled with our actions form the ritual, and everything's a ritual. So I don't know, me personally, I just don't want to give my power to the church and the acts or the government and the acts that they're responsible for. Yeah, to include genocide. So, no. No gracias. No me gusta su St. Patrick's Day. Anyhow, family, I hope you found that informative, and until next time, ciao for now.